So welcome to the Green Living Centre Green Cleaning webinar. Please answer the poll as you enter the webinar, and we'll close it shortly. My name's Cribbo Ackerman and I'm Engagement Officer with the Green Living Centre, which is an initiative of Inner West Council. The Green Living Centre supports the Inner West community to live more sustainably by adopting a low carbon lifestyle. We do this through workshops, webinars, events, and social media, with a particular focus on energy use, travel, and our consumption. So that's what we consume and how we consume. And that's where this green cleaning webinar fits in. We recently held Footprints Online, which was a series of podcasts and videos, which you can still watch, and I'll put the link in the chat for that. There's a fantastic webinar, video from Cornersmith, which shows you how to set up and run a zero waste kitchen. And there's some great recipes and demonstrations there. And I will just let you know, there is another webinar we've got coming up for Inner West residents on solar for strata. So if you live in an apartment or a block or a townhouse and you think, I can't get solar, there are some ways you might be able to do it. So please check out that webinar. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land in which we are gathered today, the Gadigal and Wongal peoples of the Eora Nation, and to pay my respects to elders past, present and future, as well as all elders on the lands in which this webinar is being broadcast. Always was and always will be Aboriginal land. So thank you for joining us today. As Kirsty said, we are recording, but I don't think that should be an issue because she'll be spotlighted. We do ask that you keep yourselves on mute during the webinar and that you ask questions in the chat. We will send you a handout wow, whew, in the past. No, we will send a handout later on with a lot of information from Kirsty. So now, and there is also going to be a survey, which would be great if you could fill out for us. And now I'm going to hand over to Kirsty from Parva Little Things. Kirsty is very experienced in this space, and I'm sure you're going to have a lot of fun hearing from her on how you can start green cleaning your kitchen. So over to you, Kirsty. And we already have one question. Is the zero waste kitchen? Oh, okay. Yes, I'll just answer that one.
Sure.
Over to you, Kirsty.
Thanks so much for having me, Green Living Centre, one of my favourite places of all time in Sydney. I'm actually no longer in Sydney. I'm on a farm doing my own low waste journey out here and sharing it with as many people who will listen to me. But I did a lot of my beginning studies and classes with the Green Living Centre. I will never ever get over their compost free class. Seriously changed my life. So if you haven't done one and you're interested in reducing your food waste, it is a great place to start when I suppose we're back in each other's company doing face-to-face things. So yes, thank you so much for having me. I will try to answer all of your questions, and I'll make sure that if there are any other questions you'd like to ask afterwards, you can stay behind. You can also email me any further questions. Once you have my booklet with the email address, just feel free to drop me a line anytime. I've been using natural products to clean my house since the early 2000s. I'm sorry, I am going to talk and admit people as they keep coming in, so my eyes will be darting this way a little bit to begin with. I moved out in the early 2000s, and being very poor and young, I decided that I was going to skimp on as many things as I possibly could so that it wouldn't get in the way of my socializing. And the one thing that I found, the first thing to go was most of the cleaning products that I had grown up with in my house. Now, for me, that's how it started, but it very quickly developed into an understanding that using readily available and very cheap ingredients allowed me to clean my house the way I wanted to. It also meant that I noticed very quickly that my house didn't have that chemical smell that most houses have when you use things like Windex or Easy Off Bam or even Jif and bleach. So I found that my home just felt, and because it was quite small, it felt like I was doing something really that felt really healthy for myself, because I get quite overwhelmed by smells. So I haven't bought anything from the laundry aisle since the early 2000s, and I can certainly smell it from the front of the supermarket when I get to the supermarket, because once you remove chemicals from your house, your sense of smell becomes very, very good. Now, over the years, so I've been doing this over 15 years, and I've only just started teaching the class. So a lot of my information is anecdotal and how I do things. There are no rules to how you do things. These are just guidelines to help you gain some confidence in trying something that does seem strange to begin with. If you've been cleaning your house with chemicals forever, it does feel weird to think that vinegar and bicarb soda could pretty much replace nearly every product you have. Almost, not quite, but almost. So I'm just going to talk to you about the things I make. You'll get recipes in the booklet. I'm going to demonstrate how to make some of the things, and then I'm just going to tell you all the things that I use them for. We'll also talk about using essential oils, particularly we have a lot of amazing essential oils in Australia that are grown and harvested and produced here. So we don't really have to travel that far to find some really nice smelling, as well as antibacterial, antimicrobial essential oils that do aid in the cleaning process. So we'll talk about those as well. So basically I'm just going to do it in parts, and then I'm going to try and remember to stop at every section. So if there are any questions, I can have a look and we can have a bit of a chat. So I always start with bicarb, okay, and through while I'm talking ingredients as well, I'll be throwing you some other ideas about how we reduce our plastic, because a lot of this is about plastic reduction as well. You'll find that you don't need to go out and start procuring all of these really wonderful containers and spray bottles. You can if you want to, but you already have a whole heap sitting in your house right now just waiting to be refilled. And I think if there's anything we know about plastic, is that it's a much more useful resource than we have ever given it credit for. We throw it away like it means nothing because it is so cheap, and that's kind of the culture that that has developed over the years. But all of the things that I use in my green cleaning kit, I have refilled for the last 10 years, including like a lot of the dispensers. I even had to get these off a pay it forward group from people who buy things, because I don't buy things. I've always refilled. So it's that they're also really good places to look. Facebook Marketplace, trying to swap free things so that you can build up a collection. It will never be the prettiest looking green cleaning kit you've ever seen. I know there's a lot of that on Facebook and Instagram. These beautiful zero waste lifestyle pictures, wonderful. That's not what this is. This is just like a jumbled mess of really useful stuff. I've got honey pots and ice cream tubs, and I have yogurt pots. You know, the prettiest things are usually the vintage pillowcases that can be used for scrubbing, the granny squares that can also be used for scrubbing, and anything else that takes my fancy at the op shop, like linen tea towels. Can't have enough of those. They're really pretty. The rest is not. Okay, I'm going to talk to you about bicarb. Now, it's not baking soda, it's bicarbonate of soda. Baking soda is a combination of bicarb soda, citric acid, rice powder, and a whole host of other things. So when we're talking about cleaning, we're just using bicarbonate of soda. It is a mined product. It's a salt mineral. It's a mineral. We don't mine it in Australia. We don't have any underground sources of it. So a lot of it comes from Asia, the Middle East, and from America. So although it does have a rather large footprint, travel carbon footprint, it's one of the most useful items you will ever have in your house. So if you are downsizing other things that are coming from a long way away, you know, I see it as I'm allowed this carbon footprint because it's so useful and it replaces so many other things in my house. So I buy it from the bulk store. You can go and take your containers to your local bulk stores. There are so many more of them popping up all over the place. When I first started doing this, there was only one, Alfalfa House in Newtown, and their range has gotten a lot bigger due to demand, and they didn't have a lot of the things that I would require for cleaning. So at that stage, 15 years ago, everything came in plastic, or, you know, you can get your bicarb in a cardboard box as well, which is also great. I like to go out once a year and buy a 25 kilo bag of bicarb. It will last a year or two. If you have the space, feel free to do the same. I may also buy my vinegar, white vinegar, in a 20 litre huge thing with a tap on it. That lasts about 2 years and costs $40. And that cleans, you know, most things and aids the cleaning process. So for $40 over 2 years, I haven't even calculated how cheap that is, but it's cheap. So bicarb, you can get at your bulk store. If you go to your bulk store, you can ask them for bulk, and they will order in whatever you like in the bulk you want it. Most of them are very good at doing that. And then you can just go and pick it up. Okay, so I use bicarb soda in every part of my house. You can use it to sprinkle on your carpets to deodorize your carpets. Leave it on as you would carpet cleaner and then vacuum it up. You can aid making your carpets smell fresher by adding eucalyptus oil and lemon oil to the bicarb as you sprinkle it, and that will make your carpet smell very fresh. It's also excellent, just like salt, for soaking up spills, particularly red wine spills. The paste that we make is great for getting oil stains out of furniture and clothes. We use it as a toothpaste in our house, just as it is. We add it just with a little bit of toothpaste that we buy to aid cleaning, because even though bicarb is abrasive, and when you make the paste, you'll see how good it cleans, but it's so gentle that it doesn't scratch surfaces, and it doesn't scratch or remove enamel off your teeth. But what it does do is remove all the scum. It's also wonderful to use if you have damp cupboards or damp in your house. You can fill up a bucket with some bicarb and it will remove moisture from the area. It's also wonderful for cleaning up really, really horrible, like deodorizing spaces that have a really funky smell. You can do that by just sprinkling some in a bucket, add some essential oils, and put it somewhere out of the way for a few weeks, and it will help deodorize the room. I often do that at my friends' art space in their bathrooms. We hide all the bicarb buckets up above all the bathroom stalls, and it really does add a nice smell to an otherwise, you know, overused bathroom. Speaking of bathrooms, that's one of my other little tips, which I may forget when we're talking about essential oils. But when I have guests coming to stay, pre-COVID and hopefully post-COVID, I use essential oils. I drip them into the toilet rolls so that when you're using the toilet rolls, a nice puff of gorgeous essential oil permeates through the bathroom. It's really nice when you've got a house full of boys to do that too. Okay, now the paste we're going to make does last. You can make it as you go, as much as you like, but I've made this paste, which I'll show you. I made this paste a couple of months ago, and it hasn't started to mold because it has no water in it, and it's ready for me to be able to use as a scrubber in the oven, on the hob, around your taps and things like that. Excellent for shower screens and your tiles to get the scum off. And I'm going to show you how to make that now. I'm just going to have a quick look. At see if we have any questions just while I'm here. Bulk bicarb. Okay. Ada, it will depend it would depend on what suburbs you are in. I would be searching some of the best bulk stores that we now have in Australia in bulk, actually. The Source, they're everywhere, and you'll be able to find a local source. Or Naked Foods. And then other than that, if you have any local co-ops in your area, whole food co-ops, in Marrickville there's Village Whole Foods, there's Alfalfa House, there's also the Manly Co-op, and in the Blue Mountains there's a co-op as well. They often do very similar things to bulk stores. So yes, so they're always a good place to start. You could also see if any of those bulk stores will take orders online. And then you might just, if you did all of your orders in one go, then you could maybe just find the closest one and then just drive and go and pick it up and just have it ready for you. I find that because I live out of town, I try to do that at the supermarket at Bunnings. I call ahead, pay, and then go on the day it's ready and go pick it up. I never have to step inside one of those shops again. It just makes life so much more convenient. New Directions. Yes, New Directions would also sell that in bulk. Good. Thank you, Yvette. Yes, they're a good resource as well. They're a cosmetics wholesaler, but they do sell a lot of that stuff in bulk. Okay, I'm going to show you how to make the paste. I'm going to use rough calculations. All of the details are in the book, which we're having trouble sending, but it is on its way. So I just like to make this up as I go. I am always using a 1/4 cup for everything, but I'm going to use 1/2 cup today. So it's 2 scoops to make 1/2 cup of the bicarb. Now you'll find that bicarb gets quite lumpy because it absorbs moisture from the air. There will always be bits in it. So I always put it in my container first and then give it a really good shake. Now, I know I'm probably going to be telling you a lot of things you don't need to know, but I tell you everything, just in case that one thing was the thing that just makes everything so much easier. So we've got our nice smooth bicarb. And then I'm going to use a little bit of Castile soap, liquid Castile soap. Is anybody using, from the people I can see, is anyone here using liquid Castile soap at all? Okay, that's one of the other ingredients we will talk about. This is a real game changer. It will be the most expensive thing that you invest in. There are many, many options to choose Castile soap. I have taken my empty passata jar to the bulk store because they now, after many years of not having it, most bulk stores now have liquid Castile soap, which is fantastic. So we're going to use a tablespoon of that. We might add a bit more in a second, but I'm also going to add citrus. Now, one of the many things that I found when I moved out of home is that I always had too much coffee and too much citrus, and that wouldn't go in the worm farm. So I found ways to use them. So if you didn't have Castile soap and you only had bicarb and you had either lemons, limes, oranges, it really doesn't matter. They've all got really good cleaning properties in them because of the acidity. Then you just grab yourself some citrus and you add it to your mix. It's going to make a volcanic kind of scientific reaction happen here, which you may be able to see. I'm just trying to keep the seeds out. I'm using bush lemons and they have lots and lots and lots of seeds. And then we save this for our vinegar infusion that we're going to make. So all of the essential oils live in the skin. So we want to be able to access and use this to aid our cleaning. Lemon oil is one of the greatest cleaners. I know everyone loves orange, but lemon will get rid of your sticky bits left over from labels on glass jars. It actually also can help if you sprinkle a bit onto a color run and give it a little rub down before you put it in the wash. It will help remove like if something stained your clothes. So it's very, very useful. Okay, going to attempt badly to see if I can show you the fizzy. Quite bright here, sorry guys. No, it's not happening. I'm sorry, but it looks fizzy like, I actually can't describe what it reminds me of. It's just, I don't know if anyone's ever done a volcano for a child with bicarb and vinegar. It does the same thing. The citrus does exactly the same thing. So we're going to mix it, and we want it to end up being very much like gumption. If you've used gumption to clean things, it just ends up being quite a thick paste. And because we haven't actually added any water, that will last for a very long time. You'll find over time when it's sitting in the jar that sometimes the citrus will separate, and you just shake it back in and it just goes back in, and then a few months later it will separate again. But I tend to make it so that I'm only making it, so I'm basically using it up by the third time I clean my house. And I'm not going to tell you how long between that is, but it lasts about 3 cleans. So the other thing that I've noticed when you have to go to the effort of making your products, because it is easy, but it does take time, I think you find that you actually stop over cleaning your house. We have a habit of over cleaning our everything, clothes, bodies, and things like that. So I think you'll find that you actually just relax a little bit, maybe on the regime of worrying about whether your things are spotless. But no judgment if you want to clean all the time. That's totally up to you. So we now have, it basically looks like icing now. It's got that consistency, and that is just, I mean, that's beautiful. It looks beautiful. And it smells beautiful too. The citrus I've added to it has given it a nice zesty zing. Now, if I wanted to, I could add essential oils to that, but I tend to do that later in a different way. I think essential oils are wonderful when used on furniture and carpets and in the bathroom to help keep smells down in the toilet and things like that. But I wouldn't necessarily use it just to, I know that the bicarb is going to scrub everything as well as it needs to be scrubbed and remove the oil and all the things that it needs to remove, say from the oven or the stove top or the shower. And you can do shower heads as well. And I wouldn't waste essential oils using it like that, because even though they smell nice and they do aid in cleaning, they are really precious and expensive. So they're always best used as sparingly as possible, you know, in the most appropriate way. So that's a really nice, useful paste, ready to go whenever you need it. I find that if I'm cleaning and I haven't made up any paste, that I probably, over years and years of having cleaned my house, sometimes I will do something just like go and sprinkle the bathtub in bicarb and spray it with vinegar and get my glove on and get my scrubber and just scrub. I don't need to make this up all the time. It's convenient for people who need convenience, but if you just want to then just figure out your own way of being, you know, and to making it quicker or what works for you, you can just mix as you go. You know, you can mix in the bathtub, you know, in the basins and things like that. It doesn't always have to be this, just like this. Does any have any questions about, it is like a lemonade spider. Thank you, Emma. That's exactly what it's like. Same reaction. Haven't had one of those since, yeah, fizzy like sherbet. Thank you, Crebo. I'm so glad you guys are here. That's exactly what it's like. Do we have any questions about using bicarb? You can wash your hair with it. If you're trying to transition to shampoo bars and get off bottle shampoo, bicarb is a nice little interim. I wouldn't use it forever. It works for some people, but it didn't work for me for a long time. But it's nice to be able to, you know, to get yourself off bottle shampoo.
Kirsty, there is one question saying, I haven't been able to find anything better than Jif for an old bathtub. Has anyone tried bicarb on an old bath? But maybe what you've just made would be sufficient for that. And there's also a question about, does lime work the same as lemon?
Yes, it definitely does. It just smells different. And depending on the day, better, I think. But yeah, so lime works just as well, grapefruit as well. They're all very, they cut through grease very well and aid the bicarb doing that. Now, have a septic tank system, is white vinegar and vinegar okay for that? That is a great question, Alexis, and I don't have an answer for that. And I probably should, because I'm also on a septic tank system. I will come up with a response to that and pop it in my email just before the booklets go, Crebo, if that's all right. That's going to ruin my day if I can't actually use it with my septic tank system. So, okay, I'll get back to you on that, Alexis. bicarb water used for washing or cleaning okay for plants? I think it would be somewhat okay, Ada, for plants, as long as maybe water it down a little further. Oh, you mean if it goes down the drain? Are you using your grey water to water plants, or you're just thinking of emptying buckets? I would dilute it further if you were going to do that, and then maybe do a bit of research to find out which plants in your garden prefer a little bit more mineralized water. Because I think we know when you do compost class and things like that, you can add minerals and rock dust and things to your compost to aid in the growing of your plants. So it could be very, very similar. Does it matter white or brown vinegar? No, it doesn't matter, except brown vinegar has a stronger smell, and I think white vinegar is actually cheaper. So for me, it's always going to be the cheapest option. But if brown vinegar is cheaper, then I would be using that too. Absolutely. You could, you know, when I'm in a pinch, I use white wine vinegar, which I use for pickling when following my Cornersmith recipes. And that's very expensive vinegar. But, you know, if I need it to clean, then I use it. So it really doesn't matter. Table and cleaning. Okay. Cleaning vinegar is it's slightly stronger than just regular vinegar, but you do pay for the privilege of it being slightly stronger. They will be in the laundry aisle, and it's really, you know, for me, I haven't noticed the difference in the cleaning power to want to pay way more for it. So I try to keep my ingredients food grade, so that I know that you know, if I can put it in my body, I'm happy to put it on my body, and then I'm not going to panic about it going down the waterways, because it's safe for human consumption, and hopefully mostly for the waterways and for organisms. It's one of the things that I think we're learning more and more about, is the fact that our skincare, our cleaning regime, you know, all of those things that we use every single day are starting to build up in our environment. There's so many of us on the planet, and we all use these things weekly, daily, if we're showering, and they're ending up in the waterways and starting to mess with the organisms and the biodiversity, and, you know, and so anything that we can do to take a bit more responsibility for our waste and making it as, you know, as small as possible. I think we have to at least try, don't we? And this is not an all or nothing situation. Try it. If you don't like it, maybe it's only the vinegar that's going to suit you. And then if you're swapping out, you know, a handful of products, then that's better than not swapping out any at all, in my opinion. I don't think that we have to get all, you know, strict about it. Okay, so we've made our paste. Also, because it is food safe, I even just put a dollop of this in the bath the other day, because it did create bubbles for the kids. Bicarb is deodorizing, so it helps with smelly kids, smelly feet. And because the bicarb is dissolved in the water, I can wash their hair in the water, and it actually washes their hair for them and keeps their scalp nice and clean. Bicarb is really, really good for that. And then I often just spray their hair with a little bit of diluted vinegar, because I have a diluted vinegar bottle as my conditioner that I use. So it detangles their hair, acts as conditioner, and then they're ready to go. Really good for soaking your feet in as well. You can actually scrub your feet with this, and your hands. Say if you've been out gardening and you've just covered it in muck, really good for scrubbing your hands, and then washing off. Scrubbing your feet and giving yourself a soak with a bit of this as well works really well. So it's a very adaptable, safe product to use all round. Okay, now I'm going to, okay, septic tanks, awesome. Okay, Claudia has said that vinegar should be okay in septic tanks. Thank you, Claudia. As long as you're not using it in huge amounts. Right, so maybe I shouldn't buy a 20-litre bulk. Anyway, it's fine. Okay, so I'm going to now talk to you. I just want to talk to you a bit more about the kit that I have gleaned from all the people that I could possibly glean things from. I have lots of friends in Sydney who like to buy, you know, products that come in these wonderful containers. Now, brown plastic, unfortunately, although it is PET and it's completely recyclable, it doesn't have any value to the industry. If this gets put in with clear PET plastic, then all of our drink bottles that are made from PET plastic would all be mottly and grey, and the drinks companies don't want to use it. So a lot of this stuff does, the black and the brown goes straight to landfill, unfortunately, or it sits in a container with the amber glass that has no value as well, and just sits there. I would really like to know where it is. I'd use it all if I could. I've had the containers like this for the last 8 years. Anytime someone is getting rid of one, because I have a lot of friends who don't refill, then I take it. I have a little box that has excess tops. A lot of these are very universal. I think you'll find if you're using Windex and containers like that, a lot of those sprays fit into all different types of bottle tops as well. So I would be keeping them. When your store-bought stuff is empty and you want to give this a try, keep everything, wash it out well, and then refill what you already have. Any leftovers, put aside together and start building your kit, because these things will last forever. And I think if we can keep it out of landfill and just fill it over and over again, then that is incredibly important. I also have spray bottles that I bought because I didn't have any when I moved out of home. I told you I moved with nothing. And so I went to IKEA and bought 4 in different colors. And I've had these for a very long time. They're not the prettiest looking things, but they work and they haven't broken in that time. So I've been using them about 12 years. And I just make sure that these are for my essential oil mixes and my vinegar sprays. I just make sure that I label on the top what I'm using it for. So this is vinegar, diluted vinegar with clove oil. The only 2 things that really kill mold are vinegar and clove. If you're using bleach to kill mold, it does kill it for a bit, but it just then bleaches it white so you can't see it, and that's why it comes back. So I'd definitely be adding clove oil to my kit. It's about 1/4 teaspoon of oil. You see that's actually stuck. Bits of the oil are stuck from years and years of putting it in there. So I just shake it up before I use it, and then I spray when I need to. You still need to, when using this, be in a well ventilated space, just like bleach, Easy Off Bam, any Windex, any of those things that have really potent smells. Clove oil is actually no different, unfortunately. It is so strong. So just make sure you've got a window open. And then I will talk a little bit more when I'm talking essential oils about how to actually use them. Bit of tea tree oil in vinegar and water. Tea tree oil is completely safe to use for surfaces and for cleaning kids' toys and things like that. We don't want to go out of our way to ingest essential oils, but a tiny speck of tea tree drying on a toy is not going to do damage to anybody. So it's one of the few oils that are completely child safe. I wouldn't be using it neat on anyone's body under the age of 5 years old or in a bathtub, but in a diluted spray bottle situation, really good for cleaning and deodorizing and killing bacteria on surfaces that kids touch a lot, including mobile phones and devices and things like that. Okay. So in my kit, I do have a few things that I have gone to the shop and bought, and there are a few things that I do buy outside of this. So I know that this is a bit of a no-brainer, and most people are probably already using some kind of subscription toilet paper thing. If you're not, just in case we have a second wave, probably a good idea to jump on board now, because even this company ran out of toilet paper during the pandemic. And I literally got down to my last square before my next box arrived. We were almost panicking. So there are quite a few different companies out there that do subscription toilet paper. Most of them make them out of either bamboo or recycled paper. It's a bit iffy to figure out which of those two has the least impact on the environment. They both have pluses and cons, but I choose bamboo because I know that the company that makes this toilet paper is based in China. They own factories and farms there. They grow the bamboo. It's in a sustainable way. it's actually a lot less fuss than importing all the paper also to their factory to turn it into toilet paper. That's just my view, but they're a really, really good resource. Also, you'll see in a lot of wonderful flat lays and things like that on Instagram and Facebook, you'll see lots of coconut core and wooden instruments for cleaning. I love this one as a pot scrubber. It's wood, metal, and then the bristles. The bristles can be composted, so can the wood, and the metal can be recycled. Same with this one here. This is really, really excellent. I mean, I've had this one for years now, and I just clean my bottles and passaded bottles that I recycle, and it's just lasted forever. If you go to a fancy zero waste shop or online store, these will set you back about $20, but Kmart stock them for under $7, I think. So, and they're exactly the same. They're made with the same wood and everything like that. So that's actually, my friend told me that. She found them, she bought me one. So that's actually a good resource to know that, that they're there. You can also buy coconut scrubbers and all sorts of things that you can just pop straight into your compost when you're done. I'm lucky because I have a farm and I have a friend who likes to grow things. So I've been growing loofahs. And if you do have a backyard and you are into gardening, then please feel free to email me for seeds, because each loofah has about 1,000 seeds in them. So if you have the space, definitely worth giving it a try. You can use it in the shower. I find them too hard for scrubbing bodies, but wow, do they scrub a toilet? Yes, they do. And the sinks and all the stainless steel. And I just chop them up into pieces as I need them and then use them until they're completely flat and have no life in them, and then they go in the compost. So they're a bit of fun. People are starting to grow these to sell as well, so they're available usually online as well. So they're a fun little thing. I also, apart from pay it forward groups on Facebook, there's Facebook Marketplace, there's Gumtree, but I also think that op shops are a fantastic resource when building your kit and things that you need. I showed you before some tea towels. So I have about 40 tea towels that I use for various things. I don't use paper towel in my house either, so the tea towels tend to replace paper towel. It's amazing how if you force yourself to live without something, how you adapt and find other ways of existing. So I find tea towels are completely, absolutely necessary. You can buy really nice cotton ones and linen ones at the op shop for under $5 a piece. Sometimes you might be lucky and go to a really great op shop where they only charge you $1. And then I'd buy every single one you can find, because I don't do that often in Sydney, but but they're there. I also found these little granny squares, which I absolutely love. I think that they are called that because people put them together to make blankets. And even though they're not wool, I would say that they're acrylic. If I look after these, I'll be able to use these for an incredibly long time to wipe down benches, also to use with my scrubber to scrub, and then just pop them in the wash when I'm done and hang them up and dry and done. You can also buy beautiful bamboo knitted ones. A friend of mine gave me this. I use it as a body scrub because it can be quite abrasive, but also great for wiping down benches and things like that. Now, I don't know how many people have heard of Man Rags. They're a wonderful organisation that recycle all kinds of fabric waste. Their mission is to make every bit of fabric that we no longer want into something useful that can be used over and over again. And they started off by taking our dead and dying socks. So I do send mine to Man Rags, but I really, really, really use them up first. So I've got socks. I don't know how many people are buying socks for kids out there, but seriously, that's about 3 months worth of a sock right there going, in a kid's shoe. They just don't make them as well as they used to. But then I wash them and then I use them to buff down surfaces, to dust. Also, if I'm cleaning, you can also use it, put over your glove to get in and around your basin and things like that. I've just always used them for wiping down and dusting. And then once they've gotten to the end of their life, they go in a bag, and when it's full, I get it sent to Man Rags, who then turn them into packing blankets and things like that. So socks are an incredibly useful resource. So are pantyhose. If you have pantyhose with runs in them, you can actually use them. You pull them really tight and they get right down into under the rings of your taps and things to get, if there's any mold around there or something that you can't quite get out, they really get in. It's a bit like floss, the way that they get into all the corners. So that's just another silly little trick, but you know, if you need it, if that's something that you need to be using, well then now you've got it. I use it to, you know, to scrub stuff. We have a few of these going on in the house, so I use these to do the glassware, to get all the lipstick off the wine glasses and things like that when I'm cleaning before I put them in the dishwasher. Any kind of bit and piece that can be washed and reused is useful. Old t-shirts. My husband has got heaps of t-shirts, old towels, flannel pillowcases. Don't throw them away. They're just so useful. Okay. And you'll know what you use once you get into it and you start doing it. You'll know what is useful to you and what isn't. Okay. Vinegar. Vinegar is a great, any questions? Sorry, I like using old toothbrushes. Yes, old toothbrushes are great. Okay, and Elaine has said that watering the plants with the bicarb water will change the pH of the soil. It'll be better for some plants than others. Thank you for putting the Gardening Australia. Oh, about growing loofahs. Thanks, Grubo. That's awesome. Okay, so I want to quickly see. Okay, we're all caught up. Do I have any more questions just before I move on to vinegar? It is very satisfying to floss your taps, Claudia, once you start getting those big chunks of mold out. Sorry, we are talking cleaning, so yes, we will be talking about all the gross things as well. Okay, vinegar. I told you I buy my vinegar in huge bulk. I would normally show off my container, but I've actually used it up and it's in the car waiting to be refilled. So I may have forgotten to mention glass jars and how I've never met one that I needed to throw out. I buy my tomato sauce in jars just so I can have the jars. I make cordial and we make our own passata, and I also use it for infusing lots of bits and pieces. You'll see I've got heaps of infusions going behind here. So I do oil infusions and vinegar infusions. With our vinegar infusions, you're always using fresh ingredients, so it's not dried. The vinegar seeps, or your material steeps in the vinegar for a few weeks, and it just sucks out all of the essential oils from the plant matter. So like I was saying before, our citrus holds all of its essential oils and oiliness in its skin. So this is incredibly useful for aiding in cleaning in our vinegar, and also making vinegar smell nice. It does, it makes it incredibly refreshing. You can use all citrus. Yes, cloth nappies, yes, I do that too. I mean, my children are not as young adults, but mine are definitely out of nappies, and they are just such a resource. I love them so much. So that's brilliant. Okay, so I have basically, we squeezed the lemon and put it in our bicarb paste, and now I'm just chopping up the skin and I'm just going to add it to the vinegar. It's just neat vinegar, white or brown. If that's what you have, use what you have. You want your peels to stay small. I have made many mistakes over the years of just shoving them in there and then really struggling to get them out. So the smaller the better, so then they just come out. And we basically, all you're doing is adding your bits to your vinegar. You give it a little swirl. You can add the ends of your herbs. So sometimes if I've got just the end bits, I might chop them in half, of coriander, mint, whatever, and just shove it in there as well, because they make it smell nice, and they've all got their own wonderful cleaning abilities as well. Also, mint tends to keep mice and cockroaches away. I don't know if any of you have a mice problem. I do. and it's working really well. I spray this stuff everywhere, and it's at least corralling them into a spot where I might actually eventually be able to scare them out the door. But so that it works really, really well. Just a quick question: ratio of clove oil to vinegar for mold cleaning. Basically, you want 1/4 teaspoon to go into your bottle, and then it's half vinegar, half water. 1/4 teaspoon is about, actually no, I think it's a teaspoon. That's 20 drops. 20 drops. I need to figure that out for you, actually. There is a calculation. Every single ratio of drops is the same, and I'll let you know. But it's definitely in the booklet, Katrina. Okay, so this sits for 2 to 3 weeks. A lot of people say in a dark space. In my opinion, that doesn't really matter. You put it where it's not in your way, but where you will actually think to walk past it occasionally and just give it a shake. 2 to 3 weeks. And that's where your wonderful secondhand pillowcases and tea towels come in after that, because if you fill this all the way up, you know, through the course of a week or two in there, that will be quite full of plant matter. And then you just want to be able to strain it through a colander with your pillowcase or a tea towel just to keep it all together, and squeeze it out. You can compost. You can't worm farm your citrus peels, so you have to compost your citrus peels. And then what you're left over with is your concentrate vinegar, and then you're going to dilute it throughout through your bottles, and just, you know, you just leave it sitting there when you're ready to use it. So I tend to fill up my bottles when I've got a new batch, and I know that it's 50-50 water to vinegar, and then I know that everything's just ready to go. One of the most wonderful things that vinegar is useful for is using it as a fabric softener in your laundry. So I always make up a nice batch and make sure that it's strained quite well, and then I would just be putting in 1 to 2 tablespoons of the vinegar into my fabric section. And I mean, a lot of people are really worried about it making everything smell like vinegar. Now, it's not going to make everything smell like vinegar, but by the time the clothes are dry, that will have evaporated, and it softens just in the same way that I use it to soften my hair as a conditioner. It softens the towels and the clothes and things like that without having to use fabric softener. Fabric softener is a fairly noxious thing that you can put in your wash, unless you're buying a natural one. They don't tend to tell you what's in it. Just like skincare, the cleaning industry, I mean, they're so linked. Most skincare companies are actually owned by cleaning companies. Clorox is one of the biggest companies in the world, and they own some of the biggest natural brands of skincare as well. And they share ingredients, most definitely. And so it's one of the most unregulated industries as well. And anything can be hidden behind a proprietary blend, and proprietary blend doesn't cover ingredients necessarily, but it definitely covers the fragrances and the smells that are put into these products. Most of them are synthetic. A lot of them can cause anaphylaxis and sinus reactions. And just say you had a terribly bad reaction, you wouldn't actually be allowed to find out what ingredient in what product caused it, because it is protected by law under a proprietary blend that could have up to 3,000 different fragrances in it, and they don't have to tell you what it is. There's a wonderful documentary on Netflix called Stink. If you are on Netflix, I would just give it a watch just to find out a little bit more about fragrance and why, if you can avoid it, because it's in every single product that we have, that we put on our body and on our clothes and things like that. It's definitely well worth a watch just to see what you can eliminate from your own household. So I don't know why I'm touching my still soap bottle, but I was just using that like it was a product yes, I use Epsom salts as conditioner. Okay, yes, that works as well. That's great. I've not used Epsom salts yet, But I think you could probably use salt as well. I just use vinegar because I have a lot of it, and it works really, really well. Thanks, Grego. So that is our vinegar. You can dilute that and put it in little spray bottles and use it as a face toner if you're so inclined. I used to wash my face with a little bit of vinegar and water as well. Hair conditioner, fabric softener. I always put a slug of this into the boiling hot water bucket when I'm mopping floors. I also use Castile soap and essential oils to mop the floors because I said we have mice, so I put lavender and lemon and peppermint in there to try and help keep them down. So vinegar goes really nice in the bath as well for the kids. I put it in for the bath for myself too. It softens dry skin and it is highly antibacterial. So, I just know I'm clean when I get out of the bath, and it just makes me feel refreshed and really nice. And of course, when you're experimenting with how to make it smell nice, when you've got lavender and rosemary and citrus in the mix, it really becomes a really nice product to be able to use and to scent your home with. Do we have any questions about vinegar? So I'm going to talk to you about Castile soap next, which not everybody has had much to do with, particularly the liquid version. And it does take a lot of getting used to. But once you do, you never go back to detergents. Okay. Thank you, Yvette. Yes, you are right. Vinegar can damage. I don't know about porcelain as such, but I would take your word for it. But definitely, if you have marble surfaces, you wouldn't use vinegar because marble is actually a very soft and porous countertop, and it can eat away at the marble. So for my money, if I was making a spray, and there is also a section in the booklet about this, I would be using cheap vodka. Okay, I don't often go out and buy a cheap bottle of vodka because I don't drink vodka, but I have been experimenting with it as an alternative to vinegar. And it's a wonderful, there's lots of stuff about that in the booklet as well. Really great to put in a little spray bottle and create an essential oil blend to get rid of the foul smells that your children leave behind in the bathroom. So you use it there's lots of natural, and people are calling them natural poo sprays. I'm sorry, but it seems to be a selling point at the moment, especially in the natural like skincare and products business. So I've seen a lot of new products come about, and so they're making poo sprays. So you can make your own using vinegar and essential oils or vodka and essential oils. And vodka is also great in a spray bottle. If you've gone to work and you've taken your business shirt off and you think, oh, like I could probably wear that the next day, but I really don't want to wash it, turn it inside out and spray vodka with a little bit of lemon essential oil into the pits, hang it up outside, let it aerate, and it will be as fresh as a daisy the next day. You can do that with your woolens as well through winter if you want to prolong between washes, because remember, as adults, as humans, we do overwash our clothes a lot. So if you can stretch it just for one more day, then the vodka spray works really well. That's very big in the zero waste community. So but vodka's expensive even when it's cheap, so you need to really want to experiment with it in order to buy it, I think, because it's not as cheap as buying vinegar. The old bath surface seems to soak up colours. Do you know what? I'm sorry, Barrett M, because I think that obviously Barrett is your last name. I don't have your first name here, but I would do a patch test with the bath and the vinegar. And I'd also do a patch test. You were asking about using the bicarb paste. Do a patch test and see, because old baths are funny because they're enamel. Once the enamel starts to wear away, there's not much that you can do to get rid of. Even the water stains are hard to get rid of because the enamel is thin and probably just needs to be redone. But I definitely give it a try. Yes, I would definitely, yes, Emma. This is exactly what I was saying. Yes, resurfacing. Okay, what portion of vodka proportion? Again, I would use it neat. I wouldn't be mixing it with water because it will stay sterile that way as well. So, I would have even just something like that. So I think this is about just under 500 ml. You could fill that with vodka and have it as just as it is, and then use it for all sorts. I think it's important also to note that everything we're talking about today, it does work. It works really well. I have 2 small children. We don't get sick. We haven't ever had any vomit bugs or, you know, anything that hasn't been cleaned properly, because I know that's with children that always happens. And you worry about whether you're keeping your house to a certain standard of safety. This does work. It's about confidence and using it and then seeing how well it works. But we're also living in a very strange time. This is not going to kill COVID bugs. Okay, I think we know that we're probably investing more in bleach and hand sanitizer and alcohol, that, you know, the high grade alcohol, because that's necessary for what's happening right now in the world. I'm not saying don't use that and just start cleaning your benches and the things that you've been keeping on top of during COVID, you know, with vodka, because it's almost high enough, but not quite. So this is more about the areas of your your house that you are happy to experiment on during COVID to see how well the house stays clean and how well these things actually work. I just want to make that very clear. I've been cleaning my house the same way. I haven't brought any chemicals into my house, but I live on a farm with my family. So I am completely in a non-COVID area. We haven't had any COVID cases since March. So there's not a huge chance of it, you know, coming to my home. So, you know, I'm able just to continue as I would normally. But I don't want to give anyone the impression that this is, you know, going to go out and kill the COVID bug, because I did the research when this all started happening and realized I had to be very careful about, you know, what I'm expressing to you, especially if you're going to try something right now. Okay, that said, we're moving on to our Castile soap now. So Castile soap comes in bar form and liquid form. It's an olive oil or an oil-based soap. It was created, developed, invented by the Spanish and pretty much co-opted by the Romans, I think, soon after. So there are lots of Roman recipes from back in the day, in the BC, telling us how we can make Castile soap. And I'm pretty sure it originated in Spain. So there are now so many more companies that make it, but for a very long time, when I first started finding alternatives to hand wash, body wash, and also just some wash to clean my glassware, I came across this oil-based soap. This brand here, and again, I'm not spruiking brands, I'm just talking more about the packaging. This is Dr. Bronner's. I don't know if many people have heard of Dr. Bronner's. Probably the most famous Castile soap makers in the world. They've been doing it since the early 20s. It's an American family, secret recipe. They're imported all over the world. The reason I use them is because I can buy 4 litres, which will last me a whole year of refilling all of my hand wash, body wash, and, you know, dish cleaning soap. Lasts a bit over a year. So 4 litres of neat soap can be diluted to up to 12 litres of product. I used it neat in our gumption paste because we don't want the gumption paste to mold. But when you're making your hand wash and things like that, it's about that much in a container, and then fill the rest with water. If you buy a non-scented version, you can then add your own essential oils and make your hand wash and everything very custom to what you like. But they do come in flavors. This one's orange, and it's subtle and it's very nice. The peppermint is incredibly intense. And if you buy it, I would be using that to clean my floors and my bathroom, but it is actually a little uncomfortable to wash your body with it. You can wash your hands with it, but if you're in the shower, it actually makes your body tingle a little bit and go cold. You know how menthol does that? And we'll just leave it at that. I think you can extrapolate from there why in the shower, probably not the greatest idea. But there are lots and lots of really nice smells. So I like this because it comes in bulk and it will last me a year. But then I also get to keep the container, which I know sounds weird, but then I go to the bulk store and I fill it up with liquid Castile soap from my local bulk store. Now, I have found that the bulk stores stock certain brands that they're very good, but they're not as good as this brand. So you do end up using more. And it costs about $90 to $100 to fill up this bottle. And it costs about $90 to buy this bottle. So it's very similar, but this is actually a superior product, in my opinion. Goes further. There is an Australian brand called Melrose Organic. They've been around for a very long time. They make excellent soap too. Their packaging and their refill situation is not ideal, but they have these custom-made foaming tops, which after having used many and bought many for my own skincare business, they are far superior to anything else. So what I did 8 years ago is buy one of these, and I just keep refilling it over and over and over again because it makes using the Castile soap easier. I know it might sound silly, but Castile soap, basically when you put it in a pump, it will shoot out everywhere just like water, okay? And it does take getting used to get the lather right. Sometimes it lathers beautifully with no water, so I have twisty old taps. So I really, until I've got all the gunk off my hands, to untwist them again. I just watch the water flowing, going, getting very stressed out. But I find with the Castile soap, you put it on and it foams really nice. It's just so soft. And without even turning the tap on, I only needed one pump, but I used two because it's human just to do one more just in case. And then it's soft and it's creamy and it lathers, and it just continues to lather with the friction of your hands. So for my money, especially starting out, I would always say to people, invest in this piece of equipment, because I have been using it for years, because it makes body wash, hand wash so much nicer to use, and you waste way less product than using a pump like this. It still works, but it's like having like little bits of water in your hand and then you have to just rub, and it will make a nice lather, but the job is done here for you. Natural face wash options. Okay, Carol. Carol is curious about natural face wash options. Now that is a loaded question, Carol, because I don't wash my face with anything but oil. If you have dry, mature skin, you should use olive oil, or any oil that you're actually cooking with will do the job. And you put it on a dry face, wash your face, put on a nice hot tea towel, and then rub all your makeup off, and then moisturize on a slightly damp face. That's what I do. If you have oily combination skin, then you can use Castile soap to wash your face as long as you moisturize. And I would actually also then tone with a little bit of vinegar and water. Even though vinegar smells very acidic and can eat away at marble, it's actually a pH balancer. So it actually balances you know, things in your skin. You can even take a swig of it if you've got heartburn, and it will actually quell the heartburn and that acid in your stomach. Apple cider is the nicest tasting of all the versions. So, you know, if that's what you need to do. Also, a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar gets rid of hiccups. Who knew? You just can't get children to ever have a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar. So, but it works on adults too. So you can also ask me any more questions regarding that, Carol, via email. That would be great. So that's my Castile soap trick. I can't live without it. all of our hand washes, body washes, and the detergents that you wash your dishes with are pretty much made of the same thing. They're petroleum and petrol-based detergents, and they're really just in slightly different ratios with different smells for different body parts and things. So for my money, I would literally replace those three things. If that's all you did with Castile soap and get yourself used to using it, then the impact that you will have on the waterways will be incredible. And also, if you're refilling your containers, you're only probably replacing them every 10 years. Or if you're lucky, you just, you find your friends who are, who recycle them after emptying them, and just ask them to give them to you. That's what I tend to do too. Can I just have the top? I just need the top. I don't need the whole thing. But you just want the thing that does all the pumpy action and the foaming. Okay, any questions so far about Castile soap? Dr. Bronner's and Melrose you can also buy online. There are plenty of companies in Australia who import a lot of it into the country. If you wanted to buy a big one of these, I found that Vitamin King online does the best price and free delivery, because if you spend this much, you get free delivery. And I found in New South Wales, even having it sent to northern New South Wales, they're on it, and they've got lots of different flavors as well to try. Okay, I'm going to talk about essential oils now and how I use them. So in the booklet, you will have my supplier. Again, I mean, they're not my supplier. I use them because they're really, really convenient. Their product is good. The price is excellent. And once COVID is over, if you're in the Sydney area, you can go and check them out in Marrickville and actually see what they have available. I also use many other brands of essential oils in my skincare, probably slightly higher quality than this company, but they import so much essential oil into the country that most brands that you are going to buy, say if you go to the chemist and there's a beautiful labeled essential oil, they've probably bought it from New Directions in Marrickville, because they are one of the biggest suppliers. So they're a one-stop shop for skincare makers and essential oil and aromatherapists. So if you go there direct, you'll get the best price and the best options. They have an online shop at the moment, and their essential oil section can be quite overwhelming because they have every possible smell known to man. But in my booklet, there will be a couple of links to essential oil sites that I found really interesting when I was learning how to do stuff. And I've just found that for me, for my cleaning, I pick only Australian essential oils because we have them. And it just turns out that, wow, they smell amazing. And two, they are some of the best essential oils for cleaning anyway. So your lemon myrtle, peppermint, rosemary, tea tree, any eucalyptus. Now, when I talk about these for cleaning, if you are making other things to put on your body, like your hand wash and things like that, it's very important to make sure that the eucalyptus oil that you buy is safe for skin. There's only two versions that are, and that's the Radiata and the Blue Mallee. Everything else is really for vaporizers and burners and for cleaning. But you want your essential oils to be multi-purpose. It's not just about cleaning. If we're making hand wash and trying to keep from buying more and more packaging, then being able to put your eucalyptus in there is important. So those two are the ones that you buy. We also make grapefruit oil, lemon, lime, and really that's all you need for cleaning. We even have Australian lavender as well. So you can go to Coles, Woolies and IGA I think it's usually in the health food section, next to them, like the Panadol and things like that. They probably have Thursday Plantation is one brand. They do lavender, peppermint, lemon and tea tree. Bositos, I don't know how to say it, but they have eucalyptus, and that would be for cleaning only and for your laundry, but not for your hand wash. you need to go to the skincare supplier for the other brands. But so there are accessible oils at the supermarket already. They will be slightly more expensive than going direct to a wholesaler as well. So always good to have a look at New Directions to see what's the price point. And if it's the same and it's just as easy for you to go to the supermarket and pick it up, then just do that. Because then you're also supporting an Australian farming company as well. So I have lemon myrtle on hand at all times, tea tree, lemon and eucalyptus and peppermint. Those are my favorite to use for cleaning. So if I am mopping the floors, it's boiling water in a bucket, bit of Castile soap, bit of my vinegar, and then I'm going to add my antibacterial essential blend. Now I just make up one lot with all the things in there in no particular order. I like to have more lemon myrtle in there, so that's the strongest scent. And then I mix it all together, and then I fill it into different bottles. So I have an essential oil bottle at the washing machine, so I can put a few more drops on my powder. I find that the natural powder that I buy is very underwhelming in its smell, so I just add a little bit more. And I have a little spray bottle that actually has hand sanitizer in it at the moment with this blend in it, so that after, every so often, every time I use the bathroom, I'm spraying the button and the seat, because we're toilet training at the moment. So I'm just, not me. We're not toilet training me. I'm toilet training an almost 3-year-old. And I just want to make sure, because he's always touching the toilet, that it's as clean as possible. So I have that, and I also use that as my disinfectant poo spray, anti-poo spray. And it works really well at keeping the bathroom fresh. And then I have another essential oil bottle, so when I'm mopping the floors, and I can just add it to the hot water. And if I wanted to, I mentioned right at the beginning when we're talking about bicarb, about sprinkling some essential oils into bicarb before you use it to dust on your carpets. I would be using the same blend. I find that if you keep it simple to the same set of smells, then you don't overwhelm your house with a lot of fragrance. It is a nice subtle smell that permeates throughout the house, and it all goes together. And it's not overwhelming. So that's how I use the essential oils, as well as the spray bottles, of which I label and then keep out of the way of my 3-year-old, because he likes spray bottles too. And I know we're getting close to the end, but I really just want to go through a little bit more detail about the cleaning of the mold in the bathroom. So I'm just going to run you through what I do. And it did help knock it back for a very long time. And then I just kind of went, oh, it's fixed, and just stopped doing it. And now I have to start again. So I find that I scrub my bathroom, so the shower doors and the tiles, with the bicarb paste. You'll find that when you use the bicarb paste on anything that is grimy, and particularly on the hob as well, the bicarb will instantly suck up all the oil and all the grime, and it starts to turn brown, and it really does, it lifts dirt like nothing else. It's amazing. And so you'll find that when you're scrubbing in the shower, that it will just look brown and a bit gross, but what it's doing is removing that scum. If it's not turning brown, then it's not doing anything. And then I would use, I used to use a shower head to wash down the shower, but now I have to use a bucket, so I get quite wet when I'm doing it now. And then once I've cleaned the grime off, that's when I would spray with the clove oil. I try to leave it, so I've cleaned the shower, I spray where the mold is active, and then I leave it to dry. And then I might go back the next day and spray again, and the next day, and then a week later I might then get in there and just give it a once over with some vinegar spray and a nice cloth and wash it down. I find that works really well with killing mold. I've used it on furniture that we had, all of our things when we moved in a container, and all the cane furniture got moldy, and I used clove and the tea tree in tandem in vinegar, and it killed the mold I was able to put the stuff back in the container for another year, and when it came out, there was no mold to be seen, which was amazing, because I was really concerned it was going to eat it all, but it killed it. So it does work really well. You just have to make sure that you're consistent with cleaning. Maybe 3 times a year, if you're worried about mold, is when I'd be using the clove. Otherwise, it's just a general wash down. In the booklet, there are links to how to make your own laundry powder and how to make your own dishwashing powder. I did this for years. It was my least favorite thing to do, because you have to be able to make things in bulk, because I don't want to just make one lots, you know, for a week and then have to do it again. You'd have to use your food processor to mix it all up, or a NutriBullet to combine everything. And I didn't like using my food equipment to mix up, even though I was using bicarb and washing soda. Some recipes call for borax, and I was a bit unsure and a bit uncomfortable about putting that through my machine. You can leave it out, but the wash doesn't clean as well without it, unfortunately. So I've linked to some blogs and YouTube videos. If you want to give it a whirl, please, by all means do. But luckily for me, in the last 5 years, bulk stores, there's been a rise of a few companies in Australia who do bulk washing powder and liquids, and dishwashing liquid and powder. So as soon as I saw that, I was like, yaha, like never doing that again, ever, ever, ever. And I can't even tell you how freeing it is to be able to just take my bucket. I think when I moved up here, I bought this store-bought stuff. I know it says earth. It's really not that good for the environment. But I knew I bought it because I wanted the bucket, so it could be my laundry bucket. And then I've got my laundry powder, my dishwashing powder in here. I go 3 times a year to the bulk store and fill it to the top. And that's all I need to do. I think the company that is up around here, it's called Simply Clean, and they're in most bulk stores. There is another brand as well. I can't remember their name. They're Australian. Their product is just as good. You'll find them in most bulk stores. Their ranges are usually lemon, myrtle, and eucalyptus. They're very subtle smells, which is why I add a little bit more essential oil to it. I just like my clothes to just have that little zesty, you know, lemony smell. But, you know, by all means, try making your own powder or liquid, but bulk store all the way. I know you can buy powder in boxes at the supermarket, but it is not as natural as it may appear. Same with the liquid stuff as well. The companies that are stocked in bulk stores have to be held to a certain standard, so you know the names pretty much of all the ingredients of the things that they're using in there. I don't know if anybody has ever tried to make their own laundry powder, but there is a ingredient in there called washing soda. Has anyone heard of washing soda? You buy it in the super. One of the only places you can get it is in the supermarket in plastic. And washing soda is just bicarb that's been cooked in the oven for 20 minutes. So I put a little thing on there on how to make your own washing soda as well. If you ever need it for any other reason, there is a tutorial on there. It was a bit of a game changer for me, once I knew all I had to do was cook it on high for 20 minutes, and it just takes all the moisture out of the bicarb, and what it does is stop the bicarb from clogging up your drains, which is what can happen when you use it in the laundry and things like that. I need to launch one more poll, I think. Now, Crib, I don't know what happens if I turn it off. I imagine we'll find out, I suppose. I'm going to turn that one off and turn the other one. Oh, share results. Shall I share the results of our first poll? Yeah, okay. Sorry, guys. I'm just going to do this. Not done it before. And I've got to launch one more poll just for the... Yes. Sorry, guys. It won't let me do the other poll.
Yeah, maybe just close this one.
Okay, now I don't even know where... Okay, no, there we go. Okay, stop sharing. And... Technology. I am a Generation Xer. I just know how to turn you on. I can't seem to find it. I put it in there. let's see, relaunch. No, not going to do that. Okay.
That's all right. We will be sending a survey to everyone, along with all the links that you've been talking about and your booklet. So, yeah,
Now,
I guess what we could ask is,
sorry, yeah.
I guess we could just ask everyone could raise their hands or something to say, yes, you've learned something new. And are you going to use any of these techniques, that you've learned today?
Wonderful. I'm actually going to spotlight myself so I can, because I can't see anybody actually. I'm going to pop us down and see. Most people have their videos off. Hi guys.
We did get some yeses though.
I saw some thumbs up. I like that. I just wanted to quickly go down to the side here. I stayed with a lady in Italy who made washing powder with ash. Yes, that's on my list. It's definitely on my list to try and figure out how to make that work. It's also very good for natural dyeing with leaves and trees and things like that. Oh, thanks, Tanya. I'm so glad you like that. Okay, now I am ready for questions. I'm pretty sure I told you everything about the essential oils and how I use them. Sparingly is usually the way I use them. And I would really like to open it up to any questions. If you wanted to pop your cameras on and unmute yourself, then you can just put your hand up, or you can ask me questions down here. Andrew here. Yes, Andrew, you can use bicarb for a pre-stain remover. I would actually use that paste. In fact, I've got a sausage stain, oily stain I need to get out of my husband's shirt after class. So I'm going to be putting this Castile bicarb mix on there. Layered, I'm going to give it a scrub in, gentle scrub, and then I might leave it on there. And then I will wash it with just laundry soap. I think laundry soap is so underrated. If you haven't got laundry soap, I had the other day someone complaining about natural deodorant and how it leaves stains. If you can use laundry soap just to give your pits on your shirts just a light lather and scrub before you put them in the wash, you'll find that any kind of stains that are on there mostly should come off. So I would use this scrubber to get rid of the stain. I'm going to put it through the wash, and if it doesn't work, one of the best things I've found is actually just using neat eucalyptus and lemon oil. I have a mix of it just together, and that breaks down grease as well. And I would soak it in there and get in there, because it's only a shirt. I can be quite rough with it. And then I would put it through the wash again. Laundry soap is different to regular soap. You'll find it in the laundry aisle. I mean, you'd never want to wash your body with it. It's horrible. It smells horrible too. It just smells like soap. But it's just a big yellow block of soap, and it's always been in the laundry aisle at the supermarket. You can buy a Sard soap as well, which is very similar, but I just buy the standard yellow soap. It's just, I think my grandmother used it. I look at it and it just seems really familiar to me, so I use it. Okay, jars. Yes. Yeah, it does. To remove smells from inside jars using lemon oil. Rubbing lemon on them does work really well. Also, if you have a microwave, popping a half-cut lemon or lime in your microwave and turning it on for a minute, it will release all of the oils from the skin. It will get very juicy and explode everywhere, but it also creates condensation, which then allows you to wipe down the inside really well and get any bits off, and it just leaves a nice lemony fresh smell. I often, sometimes when my dishwasher is being a bit gross, I just stick one of these down one of the, the little spikes, and put the wash on in a normal wash and let the lemon do the same thing and just refresh the inside of the machine. Also, you can put vinegar in your rinse aid section of your dishwasher. Yeah, you can also put vinegar mixed with water in your wipers. So it helps clean your windscreen and stops it from streaking, and it repels the water as well a little bit, when it's raining. Oh, she's full of all the tips today, everything that I'm remembering, but there's so many more in the booklet as well. Any good for washing machine odors? I would actually just put lemon and eucalyptus into the drum and then give your machine go on cycle with nothing else in it. Does vinegar affect the plastic? Can you tell me, does vinegar affect the plastic of what? Do you just mean in general? Who I'm trying to figure out.
Maybe a plastic jar? Is that what you're saying?
I think, well, I haven't noticed. I mean, to be fair though, I always make my infusions in glass because that's what I have an awful lot of. This is the waste that I create at my house is glass jars. So I don't have a lot of other plastic. If I need plastic, I ask people for it, but this is my waste. So I haven't noticed that the vinegar affects these bottles. And I've had these close to 10 years. I've not noticed that to be a thing. I'm not saying it wouldn't happen though. In the dishwasher and washing machines. I put the vinegar every time I do a wash into the tub. I pour a little bit in for the fabric softener. I've never noticed it wash any of the rubber or plastic away. I've not noticed that to be a thing at all. But maybe if it was a really old machine with cracked rubber, it might speed the process of needing a new thingy. Okay, I think I have talked at you for a long time.
That's fantastic.
I really hope you liked it.